Hello, in this video I would like to discuss the graha Budha, what it is and what it represents in Vedic astrology. This tiny but mighty planet is referred to as the messenger, as he rules over all things related to communication. He is known as Budha because he is the discriminating intellect and discernment of conscious awareness. Mercury signifies your intellect, your intelligence, and your mental processing. It functions as the exchange of ideas, words, and listening, and the flow of consciousness as it expresses itself through the mental realm of reading, writing, thinking, and speaking. It functions as the ability to understand and respond. It is memory, calculation, and comprehension skills, as well as information, data, statistics, logistics, left brain thinking, and logical thinking. It is important to know that Mercury can even be responsible for giving people brilliance, but if it's not well placed in the chart, it can be unrelatable or socially awkward or maybe even ineffective in communication and cause misunderstandings. I think these qualities are the reputation that he is most known for during the infamous Mercury retrogrades. So let's shift into understanding more about how the retrogrades work from an astronomical standpoint. The most important astronomical signification to understand is that Mercury is the graha closest in proximity to the sun, so therefore it is never more than 28 degrees away from it. And because of this, he transits through the 12 zodiac signs in about a year, just like the sun does. Mercury moves through each sign within 2 weeks to a month, depending on the speed of motion. He speeds up and slows down due to his frequent retrograde motion, which is another cause of being the closest to the sun. Mercury goes retrograde the most frequent of all of the planets, and he goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. The frequency of his retrograde makes the characteristics of things going haywire, technology and communications breaking down, to be more noticeable, and therefore it's more of a begrudgingly anticipated event. Also, due to his proximity to the sun, Mercury has the fastest orbit, hallmarking himself as a swift, quick planet, both in functionality and in personification. He's so swift that he completes his orbit in just 88 days. Fun fact, there are 88 recognized constellations in the sky, which happens to be a pleasant coincidence. 12 of these which make up the zodiac, by the way. So Mercury is all about facts and statistics, so he's the one really responsible for having me tell you all of this in the first place. Where the moon is your mind in a broader sense, Mercury is what you do with your mind in regards to your logic and your ideas. Intellect is neutral, and similarly to the moon, it is easily influenced by other planets. So for example, if Mercury is associated with benefic grahas, it will act like a benefic or a good planet, just generally speaking. However, if Mercury is associated with malefic planets, it will act like a malefic or a bad planet. Again, this is very generally speaking. So this is the difference of enlightened and clear thinking versus dark or disturbed thoughts. So we see Mercury act in ways that is parroting and mirroring and repeating what it learns, which is why it is impressionable and learned behavior. Whatever sign Mercury is located in your chart shows the style in which you like to communicate. Whatever house Mercury is in shows what you like to talk about. Budha has lordship over 2 signs, Mithuna Rashi, otherwise known as Gemini, and Kanya Rashi, otherwise known as Virgo. He is the most powerful in Kanya Rashi, the sign not only that he rules, but the sign that he is exalted in. And then he is also the weakest in Meena Rashi, or Pisces, where he is debilitated. Because of his Vata nature, Budha does well for all air sign ascendants, and Mercury gets Digbala, or directional strength, in the 1st house. Here he is of the strongest influence. Mercury is associated with Wednesdays of the week and the north direction. Mercury is activated in your chart at the 32nd year, where it develops maturity and begins to develop its full strength. We usually begin to experience more intellectual development around business acumen at this age. Mercury can bless us with good education, skillfulness in business, scholarly pursuits, a sharp intellect, and a pleasing appearance that yields popularity and approval. Other personal characteristics would be a capacity for a large vocabulary, which is related to intelligence, clever jokes, natural charm, wit, and humor. Again, Mercury is a youthful, attractive, carefree, fun-loving planet, and he loves the chase. Other indications of Mercury are commerce, communications, commercials, and commuting. Alliteration is another example of Mercury's love for language. Other things that he represents are speed, trade, imports, exports, and travel back and forth, as well as ruling over banks, because money exchange, passing the buck, keeping records, as well as math, measurements, and calculations are all seen by Mercury. As far as people, we see Mercury showing up as siblings, especially sisters, but also peers in general, such as coworkers or neighbors. He can also be merchants, mail carriers, and magicians who perform sleight of hand tricks because of his clever nature and mind games. Since Mercury loves mental dexterity, I'm going to revert back to what I mentioned earlier about how Mercury is impressionable. Actually, both Mercury and the moon are easily influenced by whatever planet they're associating with. They also have in common the fact that they both represent the mind, although they are separate aspects exhibiting the mind in different ways. The moon is the mind, the emotions, how we think, how we feel, and our overall impressions, whereas Mercury is intelligence and discriminative thinking. The moon and Mercury clash because the moon is innocent and pure and naturally instinctive, whereas Mercury is evaluative and discriminating. Budha is the greatest among the wise and bestows wisdom and true understanding. In Vedic myth, Mercury is born of the moon. To oversimplify the story, basically the moon lusts after Tara, the wife of Brihaspati, or Jupiter. From the union of the moon and Tara, Mercury is then born. Therefore, Mercury is born of the moon. The intellect is born of the mind. The glyph or symbol is a circle sitting on top of a cross, topped with a horizontal crescent. The circle is the soul's consciousness above the cross of matter, which is the physical realm, and the crescent moon is indicative of the changing and agile mindset of Mercury. Wherever Mercury is located in your chart is where you will be most understood. If you like this video, leave a like. If you like my content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.